engineers working on space missions, and they pull it off every time.
Awesome.
Fantastic. Well, you know, really quickly here, Goddard will be one of the centers that will receive a sample, but who else will receive a sample of the asteroid?
Samples are really traveling all around the world. What I think is very exciting about this mission is that we're saving about 75%. And we're not sending that out yet. We're keeping that in storage for future generations to be able to use more advanced methods and instruments to be able to analyze. So about 25% of that material is going to be headed to scientific organizations all around the globe.
Fantastic.
Unbelievable.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Yes.
There's a big team of scientists, engineers, and so many others here in Utah working to make OREX a success. It should go without saying, everyone here is mission critical, from bus drivers to planetary geologists, helicopter pilots to logistics experts. With all of the natural excitement about the mission itself, let's stop for a few minutes and highlight those in OSIRIS-REx who made it live and breathe. Take a look. Boy, it's really hard not to get a little emotional when you see all those faces. These are a lot of the people that we've been seeing over the last few days, and they're getting their time in the sun. All right, let's throw it over to James for an operational update. Take it away, James.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. So while we've been kind of waiting for the past couple of minutes here, the team has actually successfully bagged and prepared the sample return capsule for the long line operations. You can see on your screen right now, the SRC is bagged within thermal blanketing, and that metal thing you see on the bottom is the carrying fixture. This will then be actually loaded up into cargo netting and prepared for long line operations. One of our helicopters will take flight, carrying the SRC dangling beneath it. The SRC is going to be stabilized with that cargo netting. There is a gimbal that will keep it stable as we begin the flight to the clean room with our precious cargo on board. You'll notice a couple of tape markers on that SRC as well, the thermal blanketing there. Those are pieces of Kapton tape marking exactly where vents are on that SRC for team members here at the clean room, who will once again do gas and thermal readings once it arrives at the clean room. Just once again making sure team members are safe and secure as we begin to continue those recovery operations, getting the SRC into the clean room. And this is one of the last phases of the process of getting our SRC back and then opening it up, finally seeing that sample canister within and preparing that for shipment tomorrow on a C-17 cargo plane to the Johnson Space Center's sample curation facility. And this was a very quick process. I mean, if you're keeping time at home, this was only maybe about 20 minutes that they took to get out there once they arrived and wrap everything up really quickly once they were given the official confirmation to approach, get everything stored, prepared for those long line operations. This really has become second nature for these team members. They really are able to bag and prepare this SRC. And you'll see still quite a few flags around that area there. Once this SRC is flown away from the region, the landing zone, team members from the curation team will remain on site and continue to take samples of that surrounding area. They also have set up off screen here, you can't see it, but there is a air reading that they're going to be taking actual air samples of the area, atmospheric samples. All of this will be cross-correlated with samples that we actually get back from the asteroid Bennu to make sure that nothing from Earth here at the LZ or beyond got into that sample return capsule. And you can see some of those team members who are going to be taking those samples once again approaching the location. Dante Loretta is front and center with them. He has that armband on, and on his left arm you can see it there as he's carrying his bucket that has all of his tools that he needs to begin collecting these samples. It's a very tight procedure that they have to go through to make sure that they are properly taking these samples. You can see they are photographing the area first, documenting exactly where they are collecting the sample from, They then have a small metal scooper that they'll use to actually dig into the desert surface. It's a bit of a soft surface out there today. As I mentioned, we did have some rain that softened it up, so it should be easy to dig in there, grab a bit of sample, and then they will bag that sample, seal it up, and then send that off to the sample curation team at the Johnson Space Center. Admiring the region as well. It's a beautiful, clear morning there today. We've been rehearsing in a variety of different conditions, including in the middle of the summer where temperatures were over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, much cooler conditions. You can see our team members wearing their UV shirts today. A much chillier morning for them as they are doing these recovery operations. And this process does take some time as they go through and collect these samples. They want to make sure that they are accurately documenting exactly what's present at this landing zone for the team members who are at the sample curation facility of the Johnson Space Center. We're getting a great aerial view from our NASA helicopter. They've been doing a phenomenal job all morning tracking the action for us, and we don't give them enough credit. We've been training, obviously, all of the science and
recovery operations. The recovery team is moving the SRC to Helicopter 1 and preparing for long-line operations.
And there we have it. We are going to be moving towards those long-line operations. The rest of the team members approaching that SRC that has been successfully bagged and prepared to be loaded into the helicopter's long line. This will be the last time the SRC takes flight. We had a wild flight this morning. You can see two team members lifting that SRC up. It's about 120 pounds total once you have the SRC and the carrying fixture there together. They're going to be walking this over, preparing it for cargo netting, and getting that attached to the long line for helicopter operations. And as I mentioned, this is the last time the SRC is going to be taking flight. It had a harrowing journey this morning coming through the Earth's atmosphere at over 27,000 miles per hour. It is now being carried carefully by a couple team members here. So quite a deceleration from that initial entry, and really just a wonderful final journey for our sample before it is opened up at the clean room and prepared to be shipped to this to the curation facility at Johnson. And as I mentioned, this view is coming from one of our NASA helicopters. Just like the science and engineering teams have been preparing for this key moment, our NASA helicopter pilots have also been preparing to cover today's events. They're typically down at Kennedy Space Center in Florida, capturing launch coverage from Cape Canaveral. But this past couple months, they've been out here with us at the Utah Test and Training Range, preparing to document today's events, getting incredible footage for us all along the way. You can see those team members have a bit of a hike to carry it to where it is safe operationally. And you can see we have the cargo netting already laid out there. Our representative from Dugway, Jasmine Nakayama, is prepared with that cargo netting. She's going to help the team here get that SRC that has already been successfully bagged up with thermal wrapping into that cargo netting, and you can see the helicopter already there staged and ready to lift off. The helicopter pilot has actually removed one of the doors on that helicopter so he can lean out and look down as he carefully lifts the SRC off the terrain. We want to make sure that this is a careful, slow process as we safely transport this SRC to the Dugway clean room. And you can see Jasmine is picking up pieces of the cargo netting and beginning to wrap the SRC that has been placed already on the carrying fixture with the thermal blanketing. Team members observing their handiwork of getting that carefully wrapped up. We'll then actually unwrap all of that thermal blanketing once we actually get it into the clean room here.
Recovery operations. The SRC is in the cargo net, and all the gear has been stowed in the helicopter.
Great news. Everything sounds nominal for helicopter operations, and in just a few moments we should have liftoff of that SRC aboard the helicopter with that long line attached. Team members clearing the area to make sure that we can safely take off with our helicopter. These helicopter pilots have also been training in tandem with all the team members the past couple months leading up to this key moment. We've practiced these long line operations. We've practiced the flight back to the Dugway clean room. But obviously nothing compares to the real deal. I'm sure they are feeling the excitement. They are feeling the nerves as they know how precious their cargo is this morning that they're transporting to the Dugway clean room. See, Jasmine is donning a helmet, and the rotors are kicking on for our helicopter. kicking off some dust as they get up to speed there. It is a dusty morning out on the desert. And this will be, once again, a very slow, deliberate operation. We want to make sure that sample return capsule is safe as we are lifting it off. The piece that Jasmine is holding in her hand right now is that gimbal stabilizer for the cargo netting. That will ensure that the SRC is not wildly spinning as we get to altitude with our helicopter. These helicopters can get upwards of over 100 miles an hour speed, but we're going to go nowhere close to that today. We're going to be taking this at a slow pace, making sure that SRC can get back safely and securely to our Dugway cleanroom. You can see one of our NASA photographers, Keegan Barber, taking some great pictures. I'm sure those will be phenomenal views of the operations that are going on just across the way from us at the Utah Test and Training Range. As soon as these rotors get up to speed, our helicopter will get off the ground. The terrain is a little bit soft today. Team members were out here yesterday testing out the grounds and had practiced actually landing with some of the helicopters. Those skids on the helicopters got about an inch into the wet terrain. It's presumably dried a lot more today. It's the sunny, clear skies have probably helped us out a bit, so it should be an easy liftoff for this helicopter to get into the air and help transport that SRC to the clean room. Off-screen, team members are presumably continuing to collect samples of the surrounding area, both environmental, soil samples, atmospheric samples. We'll be continuing to do those operations even as we bring this SRC to our clean room. Just a great view here from our NASA helicopter. And in just a few moments, we should have a stunning view of our SRC lifting off the ground. No part of this SRC comes in contact with the helicopter. As I said, it's been safely stored in that thermal blanketing. There's multiple layers of that blanketing, as well as a tarp being placed over it. Now, it is also in that cargo netting, thanks to our Dugway representative, Jasmine Nakayama. She's then attached this whole contraption to a long line that will dangle about 100 feet below the helicopter. And I can see a lot of dust kicking up now. The engine's really revving up on that helicopter, and it is off the desert terrain in the air with the SRC in tow.
Recovery operations. Helicopter 1 is cleared to depart the recovery site with the SRC.
And we have clearance to depart the recovery site. This is a key moment of those recovery operations. We're already getting that SRC out of the landing zone and on its way to the Dugway clean room. In just a few moments, that SRC with the long line attached will be lifting off its landing zone. Jasmine assisting with that final part of the lift.